TPS, we have talked a bit about the future of 3D computing, but this week it's all artists all the time. To the list video! Hi, my name is Emily, and this is Bling Pop Shift. 3D printing is hardly a replacement for traditional manufacturing, but it does put it at everyone's small-scale fingertips, and there are lots of artists taking advantage of that. As a medium, it supports a vast diversity of artists. So today we're gonna narrow our focus. Here's 3 artists mixing our 3D bodies with 3D printing. The objectification of women in advertising, like headless female bodies as vehicles for products, is so prevalent that sometimes you just need an artist to push the point to the extreme. Like, what happens when you try and combine a woman with a box? Literally. Plimmer Fernandez, whose work centers around the idea of bringing digitally native objects into the physical world, whipped up this striking Venus to Google, with a dose of Google image search and a rudimentary form of AI called a hill climbing algorithm. It started with this plain box and used thousands of tiny mutations, spell check, not musicians, thousands of tiny mutations to reach its end goal. A 3-dimensional shape that resembles a 2-dimensional image. This Venus of Google was arrived at not by human aesthetics or even human hands, but at the whim of an algorithm with a job to do. The piece reminds me not just of all the advancements required to make the piece possible, but also that that same technology is still in its infancy. Bonstron is a German sculptor who prints kitschy portraits of mythical, powerful, and even off-puttingly sexualized girls. Chastity belt! Eric, who started carving in wax, now works entirely in a 3D modeling system, breaking that 1,000-year tradition of sculptures being made by human hands. Eric also uses models like shoes or bases that are found in free-to-use Google SketchUp libraries, which totally continues the long tradition of found objects in sculpture, right? The sculptures clearly reference the frozen youth of Japanese pop culture, the ever-younger sexualization prominent in America, and even controversial classics like Lolita. Take this piece of a woman posed with her younger self. They're clearly touching and slightly intimate, but the gesture is unclear, like precise and uneasy. Or take these confrontational multiples, the youngest of whom, with her skinned knee, peers out from behind her older selves. The girls are given power over mythical creatures, anthropomorphic animals, and naked men, creating for me a parade of the retribution of young women against a world so perpetually infatuated with disempowering them. Sophie Khan's work starts with a handheld 3D scanner, but instead of using the perfect tool for the job, she uses technology that was never meant for scanning human faces. So when the scans are reconstructed in the computer, there are errors. Digital fiction's not present in the living figure. She pushes the limits of her equipment to show us the power of technology's failures. These fractured models, once on screen, come to resemble, as Sophie has called them, virtual death masks. When printed in plastic, these now physical figures feel very separate, both from the face used to derive them and the technology used to create them. It makes me consider who that person is in relationship to the data collected about them. With the NSA hoarding all of our intimate information, these pieces shout something about anonymity and digital identity and our intimacy and separation from data. But what do you think? Are there repercussions to 3D printing making sculpture, much like music, part of our replicate, share, and remix culture? And what do you see in these artists' work? Please leave a comment below, and as always, thank you for watching and get curious.
Is the show really over?
I didn't realize till I shot this that there's definitely a, like, gender, politics, and identity theme to this. Eric.